I fly into sort of, well, I think they're quite rational rages.
No one could have expected this, but Cate Blanchett is all set to destroy Blake Lively after Blake allegedly hijacked her Chanel legacy and ruined her husband's creative vision.
Just important to get your audience aware of that as clearly as possible at the outset so that they know where they're headed.
With her signature grace, Cate nearly exposed a backdoor deal hinting at Blake's mean girl energy, bullying behavior, and her overcooked ego that's tainting Chanel's timeless identity.
You know, midlife crises.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because it's absurd and ridiculous. I mean, almost as absurd and ridiculous as a kind of a man who has filed for corporate bankruptcy 4 times.
This is more than a feud. It's a full-blown high-profile fashion war featuring betrayal, artistic theft, and the dark side of Hollywood branding.
Hilarious and absurd and tragic, let's face it.
Well,
you're not there yet, but...
No.
For nearly a decade, Cate Blanchett wasn't just another celebrity in a Chanel dress. She was the embodiment of Chanel's elegance, a true muse for the brand.
Why should Justin be able to release snippets to the media without the full context? That's what she said. That's what she did. She alleges that she's a Me Too victim.
From the red carpet to high fashion events, Cate represented the core of Chanel's timeless appeal. More than just a pretty face in the front row, Cate's relationship with the house went beyond just wearing its couture.
Being attractive doesn't preclude being intelligent.
She helped elevate the brand's image, transforming it from just a label to an icon of sophistication, grace, and cinematic storytelling. Cate's presence wasn't just about fashion, it was about cultural depth.
But I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character.
She was involved in campaigns that celebrated women in cinema and empowered creatives.
When I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to fill.
A cause that resonated deeply with her.
Collaborate with, and if I see that it's people who are, whether this is business or acting or whatever it is, where it's people who I can see that feels like that's stepping on their territory, that's not going to ultimately be a fulfilling relationship for either one of them.
It was clear, she wasn't just wearing Chanel, she was shaping it. Cate's involvement with Chanel went beyond traditional fashion partnerships. In 2022, Chanel launched a short film project that would blend its legacy of high fashion with cinematic artistry. The film was to be co-written by her husband, the acclaimed writer Andrew Upton. The script wasn't just any story, it was a personal exploration of Chanel's ethos, focusing on themes of identity, elegance, and resilience.
So anyone who has got a voice and success in the cultural industries is suddenly marginalized or considered, their voice isn't significant or worth being part of the, popular parlance.
Right.
And they kind of handed it to the administration on Sunday night, a bunch of duffers.
Cate was set to star in the film, lending her unparalleled acting skill to bring the vision to life. This was no mere campaign. It was a celebration of Chanel's artistic roots and a profound expression of Cate and Andrew's creative talents. But, as we'll see, this project would soon be derailed by forces outside their control.
Idiots.
Yeah, but they're not.
And he gets to point and go, Hollywood's sad.
Yes, which is such a profoundly interesting thing to say.
Weeks before the project was due to shoot, Cate's team received the chilling news. No explanations, no apologies, just an abrupt cancellation of the entire campaign. Chanel, once her home for years, seemed to have cut ties without warning. It was a ghosting of the most dramatic kind. Despite her long-standing relationship with the house, Cate found herself on the outside, with no answers. Chanel's silence spoke volumes. No phone calls, no meetings to explain what had happened. They simply dropped her, leaving Cate to question the very integrity of the brand she had once helped build. It didn't take long for Cate to find out who had taken her place: Blake Lively. The bubbly actress, once associated with lighthearted rom-coms, was suddenly the new face of Chanel.
Well, my husband, Andrew Upton and I ran the Sydney Theatre Company he ran it for 10 years almost, and this is the culmination, this is the last play he programmed.
The announcement was shocking, not just because of Blake's unexpected rise within the brand, but because of what she represented. Chanel, known for its understated elegance, was now aligning itself with a more overtly commercial, Instagram-friendly vibe. While Blake was undeniably beautiful, she seemed to lack the depth of artistry Cate had embodied for so long. The contrast between the two women could not have been more glaring. The film Cate was supposed to star in was now rebranded into a superficial, marketable project, one that seemed more about selling a dream than telling a story. Blake's version of Chanel was about selling an image, not about preserving a legacy. As insiders started to piece together the situation, whispers began circulating about Blake's behind-the-scenes behavior. Blake Lively, it seemed, wasn't just after the Chanel campaign. She had manipulated her way into it. Sources close to the deal alleged that Blake had played the role of the charming socialite, using her connections and offering lucrative incentives to convince Chanel's top brass to pick her over other actresses. But Blake wasn't just about charm. She had a reputation for being a bit of a mean girl, especially in the tight-knit world of fashion.
There was never any personal conversation, which Cate Blanchett and I, we knew each other's family. She knew my children. Johnny Depp was that way, Tom Hanks. But Anne Hathaway never did that. Well, Blake Lively, I got the feeling when I first met her, I thought, oh no, is this another Anne Hathaway situation?
Power moves, manipulation, and a strategic social media presence gave Blake an edge in the cutthroat game of brand representation. Meanwhile, Cate, who had always taken the high road, found herself quietly sidelined by someone willing to do whatever it took to claim Chanel's throne. Tensions came to a head at an exclusive Chanel dinner in late 2022, where Cate and Blake found themselves in the same room for the first time since the scandal broke. Blake, seated just 2 tables away, couldn't resist making a pointed remark, a jab at Andrew Upton's script. She said it was beautiful but outdated, a subtle but sharp dig at something intensely personal to Cate. The comment wasn't just a critique of a script, it was an attack on the legacy Cate and Andrew had worked so hard to build. And worst of all, Blake made the comment within earshot of Cate, knowing full well what it would mean. The room fell silent. It wasn't just a dinner, it was a cold, calculated move, an attempt to reclaim her power in front of Chanel's elite. The true shock came when Chanel's new campaign, starring Blake Lively, debuted. The visuals were glitzy, fast-paced, and aimed directly at a younger, influencer-driven audience. But something else was off. In the voiceover, viewers heard a line that was eerily familiar to Cate and Andrew. It was a line directly lifted from Andrew's script for the original project, the same script Chanel had abruptly scrapped. No credit, no apology, just artistic theft in broad daylight.
I've always thought Blake Lively was a pick-me, and now I have the perfect...
The line, once discarded as outdated by Blake herself, was now used as part of the very campaign she had hijacked. The betrayal was more than just professional, it was personal. Andrew and Cate had been erased, and their creativity had been stolen. As the campaign aired, internet sleuths jumped into action. Social media platforms like Reddit, TikTok, and X, formerly Twitter, became ground zero for a wave of accusations. Users meticulously compared Cate and Andrew's original script to the voiceover in the new Chanel campaign.
As you move forward in life, what's your moral compass? What do you know, where does kindness and humanity sit in a really brutal...
The results were damning. Archive Detective, a well-known figure in the online community, posted detailed breakdowns of the similarities, showing that the exact line was taken from the scrapped script. Within hours, the hashtag #OnJusticeForCate started trending. The public outcry was swift and loud. Chanel had stolen not just a campaign, but an idea. Rather than take the low road and resort to public drama, Cate Blanchett turned to art. In June 2023, she premiered a new play in Sydney, co-written by Andrew Upton. The play's plot mirrored what had happened to her. A mature woman who had her work stolen by a younger woman who, despite her charm and popularity, lacked the depth to truly understand the value of the original creation.
So it just happens that I've tipped the balance. Sorry.
One of the key lines in the play read, "The worst part isn't that you took it, it's that you convinced them it was always yours." The audience was stunned. The parallels between the play's story and the Chanel scandal were impossible to ignore. Without directly addressing Blake or Chanel, Cate had found a subtle but powerful way to expose the theft and reclaim her creative agency. Her revenge was intellectual, not emotional. The play was a resounding success. Critics hailed it as a masterpiece on the themes of artistic theft, identity, and the erasure of women's voices.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump. We do have It Starts With Us, so I'm hoping to see you back in the double duty role.
I think there are better people for that one.
Justin.
I think Blake Lively's ready to direct. That's what
The lines between performance and reality blurred as audiences saw the story of Cate's betrayal played out on stage. Archive Detective posted more viral content linking the play to the Chanel saga, further exposing the scandal. What was striking was that Cate's revenge wasn't about public insults or social media wars, it was about claiming her intellectual and creative power. She outperformed her detractors by creating something beautiful, timeless, and above all, true to her vision. As the backlash continued to build, Chanel found itself in a public relations nightmare.
As you move forward in life, what's your moral compass? What do you where does kindness and humanity sit in a really brutal world?
The internet had turned on the brand, with users calling out its lack of originality and accusing it of disrespecting both its legacy and its loyal ambassadors. Hashtags like Chanelgate and Justice for Cate flooded social media. Celebrities and influencers joined the outcry, denouncing the corporate greed and lack of integrity displayed by Chanel. It wasn't just about fashion anymore. It was about authenticity. Chanel had failed to recognize the value of artistry in favor of commercial appeal. Chanel's brand, once revered by fashion icons, now faced a grassroots revolt. Influencers who had long championed Chanel's creations suddenly began unfollowing the brand. Influencers and stylists who once took pride in collaborating with the house were now voicing their discontent on social media, making it clear they could no longer support a brand that had betrayed creativity. Instagram stories and TikTok videos highlighted the cracks in Chanel's latest campaign, comparing Blake's glossy commercialism to the sophistication and depth of Cate's previous work. The influencer community, known for its clout, had just turned its back on one of fashion's most powerful brands. By late 2023, Chanel had no choice but to change its approach. In a shocking but strategic move, the brand announced that Cate Blanchett would return to the Chanel fold. But not just as a model. She would now take on a role as a creative advisor, giving her a hand in shaping the brand's direction moving forward. It was a huge win for Cate and a clear sign that Chanel was acknowledging the value of authenticity over fleeting trends. This shift marked a turning point in the brand's identity, one that sought to realign itself with the creative forces that had made it great in the first place. And where was Blake Lively in all of this? Well, in a remarkable twist of fate, Blake was quietly removed from the Chanel campaign. There were no press releases or dramatic exits. She was simply gone. Her role in the brand's recent reinvention had been erased with no explanation. It was a shocking and swift exit, but it seemed like Chanel was ready to reclaim the legacy it had nearly lost. The big question now was, would Blake ever be invited back? Could the Chanel brand survive after so much damage to its reputation? Only time would tell.